Hey guys, I just came from an interview. I mean, I was taking an interview, not not giving it for a change. So I got this candidate to interview by my company, and it was pretty bad to be honest. I mean, I don't know, man. I can't blame the HR because the HR might find the on paper the candidate seems great, fulfills the requirement, but then the actual technical skills come out in interview, right? So yeah, so what happened? Asked him a few basic questions. I didn't even get to the projects part. In fact, I could figure out he's not that good. I just wanted to verify it. So I'm gonna show you a question that I always choose to ask this particular question because this question can be manipulated, and this gives you a very basic knowledge that how a candidate is. Okay, so this is not this question I'm not going to show you is very simple. Like if you are skilled enough, it's very simple. But if you're taking, if you're giving or taking a interview, this is a fairly basic ask from any candidate, right? Anyone. This is a very simple question, but I have seen so many people fail it. I'm not kidding you. Fail in the sense they have screwed up this very basic thing. I'm going to show you this question, what it is, and let's move on. Hey guys, so this is my question. So if I have to start testing anybody's skill, if I'm not very sure, I just start off with this basic question, which can be easily fulfilled within a minute or so. You can easily write it questions. The question is, I want to create a calculator function that takes into operands, and the one of the third operand is being an operator, which whose inputs are sum, difference, multiplication, and division. You can have it like plus, minus, whatever. So I try, and then you have to put the default operator as sum, right? And then based on the inputs, you have to return the result of that particular operation, right? A plus B, A minus B, A times B, and A division B. Of course, if it's a zero, so I tell them to catch a zero division error, and then leaving this entire thing, as I ask them to form the function, and I see how well do the function. Sometimes I also will ask them if they want to. You can have them. You can change up the questions a bit. You can have like a list of operands or something. You can just test them as you want. But this is the basic structure of the question that I ask. I sometimes also ask them how would you put in checks. So sometimes what happens is people would say instead of zero division error, they would try to check the value of the operands. If B is zero, then you return a error. Those kind of things. Of course, that is division, but this looks a very clear, concise way of writing the code. There are, of course, different ways, and that's not what I'm checking here, though. This is a very fairly, very simple way. What you can also do is, once if the candidate is able to do this part, then what I ask them to do is, I'm telling them that imagine there are two rows in your data frame. So okay, so now once they have done this, I just ask them that I want to see this. I want to see them apply this custom function on the entire data frame, right? So I want to see them how they use that because it's one of the very common things to do in pandas that we have to use our own custom functions to do a lot of data wrangling, cleaning, etc. So I want to see how do they apply a custom function, right? So I ask them that you have a data frame whose columns are A and B, and I want them to return a result column in which the operations would be held. Now, I don't tell them that there is an operation column, right? So you have to add an operation column. So here I check that whether they ask the question or not uh, to see if they're how do they figure out. Then often they'll ask me, right? What is the operation? So I would tell them all the operations, and then they would if somebody says that okay, do we have a column operation? I said, yeah, of course, you have to put a column operation, and then in that column you will have like some division error and whatever, right? So you have all these four operations would be having it. And so how would you apply? So do you put a df dot apply calc blah 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 entire thing, right? You put a row and all. That's what I'm checking. So this is a very common question I ask, and this is a very fast question, right? Doesn't take too much time, but often I've had many people stumble over this very basic question as such, right? So I'm not saying you learn this question. I'm saying that understand some of these are very, very basic fundamentals. So it might not be that nobody's going to ask you this question because this is not, this is something. which these are very basic fundamentals that needs to be clear. And some questions like these just check your fundamentals, right? These are not about your skill of testing your knowledge about functions, syntax, or anything. It's just about you how you deal with functions, how you deal with certain. I tell them that okay, this is the case, this is the condition that I'm giving you, that you have to have a default operator. This is your default operation, and this is what's going to happen. Yeah, that's pretty much it. This is how I test some. Or this is one of my favorite go-to questions for checking your fundamentals. And of course, this does not take too much time at all. If you're any skill, if you have any skill, you'd actually feel a bit excited that somebody's asking this question. But of course, if I understand that you are way beyond this skill, I would not be asking this question. Of course, that is judged as well. So please do understand that. Keep in mind. But yeah, this is one way of me asking in the interviews and testing your fundamental skills. So that was pretty much it. That's one of my go-to questions for interviews. You won't be asked that, even at a fresher level, you might not be asked. But all I wanted to point out is there are certain ways a candidate would be tested for the basic fundamentals, and this is one of my go-to ways. This has been one of my foolproof ways, and I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you. Many have failed this, right? And when I say failed, I mean absolutely horribly failed to create a basic function. Making a custom function is almost a bread and butter skill of any data analyst or a data scientist, right? It's a bread and butter skill in Python. But yeah, this is basically it. So have a strong grasp of your fundamentals. This is something very basic and is very much expected from you. All right. Bye bye, and have a good day. Toodles.